What's going on, everyone? This is another walkthrough of an Outback Tourer tent, but not just any tent. This tent is special, and the reason it's special is not because it's so slimline, but the top and the bottom is actually made out of carbon fiber. So if you didn't know, most tents on the market, well, pretty much all tents are made out of aluminium, and it is a aluminium honeycomb paneling or just straight aluminium with supports on the inside. So I was under the impression, I would say, that slimline tents were dead. I was like, we're done. We used to have a slimline tent. No one really bought it anymore. And as we progressed through the company, a lot of people have wanted to store more bedding, have a thicker mattress, and everything like that. But it came to my attention. I was actually in a Facebook group of an American brand, and they have a carbon fiber version of a tent, and everyone was going wild for it. And I really couldn't understand the hype, because looking at this tent, like in the nicest way possible, all I could see was garbage. Like the extrusions weren't glued together properly. Like it wasn't working. It had slats in it. You could feel, you'd put your knee through the bottom of it. You couldn't replace the canvas inside of it. There was just so many issues from someone who deals with tents day in, day out, 7 days a week for the past 5 years. Looking at it, it honestly irritated me. I was irritated by the hype around it, because I personally just thought it was crap. So, but because there was so much hype around it, I thought to myself, well, maybe if we did this better, we would have a really cool product. Obviously, the hype's there, and I guess the aluminium slimline tents and like the hype had sort of gone. Everyone's moved past and wanted to go to bigger tents, but there's always room for good products. And I think if someone did this tent well, which I believe we have, it'll be received really well by the market, and it's shown. We've done a few releases so far, and we're just sold out. Like it's nuts. The demand we've had for this one internationally as well. Like it's gone global. We've had people from all sorts of different countries, Dubai, India, just wherever you can think of, all message us and say, hey, how do I get this thing? So it is a bit more complex than a normal tent, because the part of it being carbon fiber, there's a few extra steps involved. So we will run through that and what's involved with that, and what the manufacturing process is, and how we need to do that over here as well. I'm not going to give away everything. There's a few little secrets involved in this, but you'll leave this video with a bit more understanding on a carbon fiber tent and why our carbon fiber tent is superior to what is out there and what goes into these things. So to start off, we will take a trip downstairs, and we'll walk back through a couple years ago, bit of a time machine, and we'll look at a few different versions of this tent before it came to what it is. So this isn't just something you can put a logo on like everyone wants to believe and bring it over and sell it. Like we actually had to go through pretty thorough R&D and see what's involved with a carbon fiber tent. Spent a lot of time talking to a few of the technicians out at the Amberley RAF base, and people who spend a lot of time putting carbon fiber parts on helicopters and on jets. So just how carbon fiber, the wear and tear of it, how it behaves, the characteristics. Like we're all very familiar with aluminium. Chris in the business was an aluminium stainless steel fabricator for 30 years. So a lot of that knowledge has been transferred to the tent, but carbon fiber was sort of a new area for us. And the other brand I mentioned, you have to put a cover on it to drive around. And I don't like the idea of having to drive around with a cover over the tent. It looks crap. No one's going to put it on, and there had to be a better way. So we'll go downstairs. We'll explore this journey and how we got to here, and how we ended up with this. This here is one of the first variations of the carbon fiber tent we've done. Although it looks the exact same, structurally is completely different. But it was a first good revision just to explore the option of what was currently out on the market and try and just really shave that weight down. So I'll flip it up in a second. We'll see exactly what we've done. This one here, although I wasn't really a fan of doing a slatted floor, just to save weight, we thought we'd try it anyway. So what we did, we ran these carbon fiber slats from side to side, and then just ran our extrusion. So I'm not really a fan of having a tent that doesn't have a floor in it, but I thought it was worth investigating anyway. If there was a big hype around it, then we ought to know, and do the R&D to make sure that if we do it, we've explored all avenues. What we did well in this one, which I feel as though other designs have lacked, there is actually a solid piece of like foam board in there. That way, even if we went through with this design, you wouldn't have felt any of this when you were sleeping, whereas the existing designs, if you put your knee through here, you fall through the bottom. It's not really good. So yeah, although a great first prototype, not the one we settled on. So the top as well. So this is before I discussed the properties of carbon fiber with the couple of fellas out from the RAF base. And this is a non-PPF coated carbon fiber. And what happens is with carbon fiber, there's a resin that's mixed all the way through it. And sometimes the resin isn't UV stable, and it is quite hard to find. And even though you might have all the certification to say it is UV stable, there is a chance it might not be, and you really can't test time. Like we can leave this one outside for a year, but I can't leave it outside for 5 years. Otherwise, the company's never going to move forward. So with that said, just from the results of this, we'll throw the camera over it and you can see the lines through it, and you can see the top of it is actually yellowed, and when it's yellowing, that means the carbon fiber is starting to break down. So this is why the other brand I mentioned runs a cover full time. So when it's not in use, you have to run a cover. So I guess the idea is when you're camping, unless it wouldn't be ideal to run a cover if you're touring Australia, but if it's a weekender, you don't have a cover on it, it's going to last a lifetime. But if you are touring and you don't want to run a cover because it looks terrible, this isn't going to be ideal, because even after a 1 year test on this one, even after 1 year, we're starting to get all yellowing through it. So the other option is you can put a paint over it, like a clear coat. But that clear coat, if you've ever seen like a JDM car driving around, they've got like carbon fiber mirrors. I know on Christian, on his Toyota Chaser, he's got a little spoiler across the back window and it's carbon fiber, and all the edges are starting to flake off because that paint over time sitting in the Aussie sun just starts to diminish. So there wasn't really going to be an option. The other option was to ceramic coat them, but ceramic coating, you need to take care of it. And as much as I know you guys love your rigs, there's a few people who are just never going to clean the top of their tent, and that's a fact. And for ceramic coat to work, we need to use pH neutral car wash, and it needs to stay clean. And I feel like everyone's not going to do that all the time. So ceramic coat was ruled out, which is what put us on to the next idea, which was to PPF the tops. So to PPF the tops, there was a few different products we'd used. On our personal builds, we've always used the SunTech wrap, and that has a 10-year guarantee. So that was the exact product we wanted to put on top of the tents. This one was in a gloss, so we originally tried the gloss, and then we settled on the matte just to bring the shine out of it and just not be so reflective. But the matte looks really good. And you can see the difference between this tent and the original tent. This tent looks terrible and chalky on top, whereas this one spent the exact same amount of time in the sun, and the carbon underneath, there's no yellowing, it looks freaking brand new. So that's all locked in. So these come over here, you might have seen on our Instagram, all the tents are out of boxes, they're all laid out. We get the team in, put the PPF on, and then we get a special sealing guy, and he runs around and seals all the tents as well. So we use the same sealant we've been using for many years, and we know that it works. A few other things that we changed with the tent, these original latches that we had on here, they weren't the best. We tried to put them upside down, but they hung down too far past the car. So if you had this on a flat rack, not going to work. Second latches over here, almost perfect, but they were just a bit dicky and they would fall down all the time. So every time you try and open it, it's trying to grab onto itself. So quite annoying. We've moved the gas strap position to find the perfect spot so we don't get any bowing through the base. We've had all the Newton meters all spec'd so it all works and doesn't warp the base, because it is quite a lean base. So that's all been spec'd up. I'll show you another thing. I'll open this original one that we've changed. So this original seal, you can see it's flattened off after about a year of sitting there. So we've just changed the seal and spec'd it up appropriately. So yeah, like I said, a fair bit of work does go into this, a few different variations. We had a few other variations at the manufacturer where I spent a fair bit of time and checked all of those, and these are the ones we've got here for our Aussie testing. So that pretty much sums up the journey of carbon fiber and why we've done it. And we can pretty well head back upstairs and we'll start going through the tent itself, and we'll go piece by piece how it all assembles and what's included and how to put it all together. All right, we're back up top. That's enough about the history of the tent. Let's crack into what's included, what do you get, and then how it all bloody works. So in the tent, when you get it, there'll be a couple of different boxes that you'll get. So if you've read anything online, you'll see that it is a self-inflating mattress. This one currently will be packed separately. You'll get your ladder, which will also be packed separately. The pump will be packed in with the in the mattress box included inside. That's the pump and inflate, deflate for the mattress. And then the solar panel on this one is optional. The reason why is I just really wanted to keep a 3 in front of this tent. Carbon fiber, and the process that we have to do here is really expensive, and I just wanted to keep them with a 3 in front of it. So if you want to include the solar panel, obviously we touch over 4 grand, but very good solar panel and awesome tent. We'll open this bad boy up, grab all the brackets out, show you what's included with the brackets. We'll mount the roof racks on top. We'll run through how this solar panel works, and then we'll go through all the features of the tent. So we'll do all the nitty gritty stuff, how to mount it, how to set the solar panel up, how to mount the tent, everything like that. And then we'll go through and do a bit of the features in a couple minutes. Okay, so we've pulled everything out of the tent. We've located the roof racks, which were inside. These end caps were inside the roof rack. We've got a bunch of nut and bolts. This one's pretty easy. You can't really mix them up. It's just these Allen key 12 mils and these square channel nuts, which we will be using to go into the side of the tent and into the rack. We have stainless steel roof rack brackets, O and T. So just think about where you're going to put them, O, T. Our cameraman, Michael, is notorious for setting the tents up as TO, but anyway. So you'll also have a Allen key, and you'll have a 13mm spanner inside. So really simple, guys. We're just putting the square nuts in the end of the roof racks like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then obviously we got them on the other side, and then dropping these over the top, tightening them up. Okay, hot tip when you're doing this, make sure you put the square nuts in, and then put the end caps in, and then put the bracket on top. Otherwise, you'll have to undo it and redo it again to put the end caps in. So, I warned you. This side section is pretty simple. We're just feeding our channel nuts in like that, and we'll be lining those up. So, of course, 4 of these. Oh, there's one on the ground. Oh, fuck. Line these guys up where we need it. So you'll notice the 250, now actually 300 watt solar panel, it pretty much covers the whole tent. So in this instance, I'm just going to be putting one here right against it, and then one at the back. So this would be a good width if you're wanting to do recovery boards on top. If you wanted to, it wouldn't really be catastrophic. You could actually run that bar over the panel. Yes, you're going to lose a little bit of power, but for some reason, if you had to run something bigger, you could put one there. Otherwise, when you do mount your panel, you could always mount it back like that, and then you could put another bar here. That way you could run stuff over the top. So just be mindful when you do stick that down, it's going to be stuck there. So just work out where you want your roof racks. I've got this panel up here because we'll be putting it right at the front, and I've worked out this is exactly where I want them. So that's where I'll be tightening them up. After those bolts go in the side, those channel nuts, slide them down, and I'll get cracking on getting these in. So you'll notice I've left this top section loose, and that's because instead of having to take a measurement from side to side, tightening them down, and then if we're a fraction of a millimeter out, it's going to be difficult to tighten them. It's easier if I just leave this bar loose, and then once I get these sides all buttoned up like that, so bring him up where we want. Then I'll go over here, I'll put him in this side, and the last thing I'll do is tighten the top, making sure that's even, and that just makes it easier than trying to measure it and get it exactly right. So leave those two a little bit loose, and we'll get a bit of movement there and make your life a lot easier. Okay, we've got our racks on now. Last thing to mention is with the racks, you can put them on top of the stainless bracket. So for some reason, if you did want them higher, you can do that. I don't think there is any need to because this solar panel's stick on. The normal reason you do that is if you wanted to clear the solar panel, but these are well and truly above the panel. Cool, so we'll chat solar now. So why the stick-on panel? A few different reasons. This is our lightweight tent, therefore we want a lightweight panel. And it does look super sleek on here. Also, we can't have gas struts that are too powerful. So these have a certain Newton meter, a certain force in them. If we make them even higher, being a lightweight carbon tent, it will bow the base. So we can't have a whole lot of weight here. The just for reference, the glass panels, they're about 13 kilos, and the bracketry that holds them is 6 kilos. So we're well up, over what a flex panel is, which is around, I think, about 5-6 kilos, so super light. So this keeps the tent nice and light. It also means you can actually put some weight on the roof racks. Again, lightweight tent, so around 2 max tracks, that would be sort of what we'd recommend. You could do a little bit more weight if you want to disperse it over the whole tent, so you might get a surfboard or a paddleboard up there. But at the end of the day, this is a really lightweight tent, so it isn't the most load-bearing tent. If you are after something like that, we've obviously got a very extensive range, and maybe pick something else. But if you want to keep it lightweight, this is what we've chosen to do. Now, a lot of skepticism out there in the market with flexible panels, and I think mainly because they're cheap. They're cheap, nasty, but the team at Rome always putting the R&D in. Jared's a very professional man, runs a professional company like us, and he won't sell something if he doesn't believe in it. So this is the only panel, I believe, in Australia, the only flexible panel with a 5-year warranty. So I'll say that again, 5-year warranty on these. So everyone else, they'll sort of do a 1 year, and whether they even make it to a year is questionable. So what makes this one different to a normal glass panel? So it has a 3mm ETFE construction. So it is a 3mm panel, and it is, so in layman's terms, it's thicker than a normal panel. So what normally kills these panels is they are really thin, and that's why you see a lot of people sitting them up on core flute, because the heat under them cooks them from underneath. So what happens is water goes underneath the panel and it actually boils underneath. And when it boils, it heats up so much, it absolutely fries these panels. But we've been reassured you don't need to stick these on core flute. They are thick enough, and even if water goes in and it does boil, it's not going to wreck the solar panel because it's built properly. So a couple different ways to attach this panel to the tent. Now, we've kind of left it up to everyone individually and how they want to do it, mainly because you go online, you search up how to attach a flexible panel, and you'll find 20 different ways. So I'm going to show you the way that we do it, and you can honestly choose your own adventure. If you still want to put it on core flute like some people do, that's fine. If you want to sticker it down, that's fine as well. We've chosen to use a double-sided tape, which I'll show you in a second when I flip it. The only thing I would recommend is don't screw it, because this is carbon fibre. It's not our normal 20mm sheet. It is a sheet of carbon fibre, so please don't screw into it. I'm sure you would have already thought of that, but I thought I'd better mention it anyway. A little thing I would also recommend before doing this, obviously we're sticking this down, so if something happens to it, it will be quite difficult to remove. So I would suggest, even though this is a really low probability of a failure or something being wrong with the Rome gear panel, because everything's tested before it makes it its way into our shed, get your positive and your negative and plug it into something and just make sure the panel is actually all sweet, because the last thing you want to do is spend a few hours sticking it down, waiting for it to dry, and then there's a problem with it. You want to identify if there's something wrong with it straight away, and in the unlikely event that something is wrong with it, we would obviously replace it for you. So just before you go through all the effort of sticking this down and doing everything, I would just make sure the thing works first. So on the front of it, it's MC4 connectors. These are just a automotive positive and negative, and the main advantage of MC4 is they're waterproof because they have an O-ring. If this scares you and you don't know what the hell this is, that is fine. You can cut it off and put an Anderson plug on it. Be my guest, it doesn't worry me. Otherwise, if you go to Supercheap or BCF, Hardcore, or go to Rome even, they make an MC4 to Anderson plug adapter, 3 meters, just plug it in and you're good to go. So I'll show you what we've done on the back here. We've got a 15, excuse me, a 15mm double-sided tape, and this is bloody strong stuff. So this is the probably the best in the business with what you can get. You can, Bunnings do have a 25mm version, but it's super expensive and they only sell it in like 1 meter lengths, whereas this was more of an industrial sort of spot where we got this from, and it was sold in, I think it was about 20 meter roll, and it was it was not overly expensive. So before we stick it down, all your specs are on the back of the panel, so you can take a photo of that, so you've got all your specs. But this was the sort of formation that we come up with. We did on the front edge, because this is where the wind will hit, two layers here, either side of the Rome sticker. Honestly, we just let the OCD get the best of us on this one and just started sticking it, and we just come up with this. But we've tested it, and for what we've done, it worked really well. Obviously, we want to make sure we've got all the dust and debris off the top of the tent, so if you've left it there and mowed the lawn next to it and do it 3 days' time, don't be sticking stuff to it. Like, wipe it all off and it'll stick properly. From there, obviously, we're going to pull the sticky tape off the back of it, stick it down where we want it, nicely in the middle, and the only other step that we've done is we use this black Gorilla Tape, and all we're doing is putting one layer of it just over the front. I'll probably come down about 50 mil and just going half on the panel and then half over the front of the tent. And that's purely so we don't get wind under it. I know we double taped it at the front there, but just on the front edge of it where it's going to catch the wind, I'm going to put like a little wind deflection on there. And I would say every couple of months I'll just get up here and just check it. It's easy to forget about, it's on your roof, but get up and check it. I'm not going to run this the whole way around because, like I was talking about before, the water can get trapped under it. Although it won't wreck the panel, it's not ideal to always just have water pooling under it, so I'd like it to be able to get out. So there's a few gaps in that 3M stuff where water could travel out, and I'm not going to lock it in. But at the end of the day, you can do this however you want. This is just our suggestion, and we've sort of left it up to you. And there's honestly 1,000 videos on how to do this online, but this is just the way we suggest, and we found it works well. So that'll be everything covered on solar for now. We'll crack open the mounting bolts and go through how to mount the tent. I know I said we'd talk about mounting, but we'll do that in a sec. I forgot one thing. So care for the carbon fiber. Now, we spoke about this is PPF wrapped. So it is tough, but you still need to care for it. So what I mean by that is if this gets like bird crap on it, it gets mud on it, it is good to wash it off. And when I say wash it off, I don't mean go to a car wash and use that broom that's caked, that everyone's used to clean the mud off their vehicles with and scrub the top of it. I mean, get up there, pressure wash it, and then use like a good pH neutral car wash. So you can just look it up. There's heaps of them. There's cheap ones, expensive ones. It doesn't have to be crazy, but pH neutral. So we're not putting a harsh chemical on here. Get yourself a wash mitt and just keep this clean. I'm not talking you need to clean this thing every week. I'm saying maybe like every 4 weeks when you wash your car. Just get up here, keep this nice and clean, and it just means that this wrap is going to last the 10 years that they put on the warranty on there for. It'll obviously last a lot longer than 10 years, but they guarantee it for 10. But that means we're taking care of it. So essentially, we just want to keep it clean, and it's going to last a very long time. So just take care of your stuff, give it a clean off. If you got any more questions on that, let us know. But essentially, it is still very low maintenance. It just is like one step more maintenance than if we were to do this in aluminium. So it's a lightweight tent, and you wanted the carbon tent, so yeah, just keep it clean, and it'll, like I said, last a very long time. There's everything included with how to mount the tent. They comes inside the tent in this black bag. We've got 4 of these saddles, and then we've got a few of these extrusion plates, a bunch of bolts, and these little end caps. So these bolts, they're a standard M8 bolt. If you need longer ones, go down to your local hardware bolt shop, Bunnings, and get them. They're about 65 mil, so if you need 100s or 85s, they will sell them. Standard 13 mil head, nylock washer, nice and easy. So these go into the slide plate like that, and that makes sure it's not going to spin when it's underneath the tent. So that's pretty much it for those. We'll jump underneath and I'll explain how to mount this bad boy. Welcome to the most boring part, but most essential part of the video, I would say, how to mount the bloody tent. So it's not rocket science, guys, but there is a few things that we need to cover. Like I said, this bad boy goes into that extrusion plate there, and then there's another extrusion, or a uni-strut, whatever you want to call it, mounted on the bottom of the tent. So small one goes in big one, like that. And then we use this sort of cradle saddle like that to go around a crossbar of some description. So generally 2 crossbars. So you have 4 of these, so you're mounting to 2 crossbars. Now, if you have a 3rd crossbar, you don't need an extra set of these. So I know you're going to hit me up anyway, and you're going to be scared it's going to fly off your roof or something, but I promise you it's not. You don't need to mount it 3 times. Like, and on 3 bars, 2 bars is plenty. So that's what is included with it. Now, minimum mounting dimensions is always the same. It's between 850 and 1600, so that hasn't changed. What has changed is the amount that we can span the tent. Generally, the largest span of the tent, so from cross rail to cross rail with unsupporting in the middle, normally the largest span we can do is 1600 millimeters. But now, because this tent is lightweight, it's slimline, we need to support it a little bit more so we don't get any bowing through these side extrusions. So the most we can span this tent is 1 meter. That doesn't mean that we can't mount it at 1600 apart. It just means we need a center rail. So imagine this is your car and we're mounted at 1600 mil apart. We just need 1 in the center for support. Generally, that would be fine to span over 1600 mil, but for this tent being lightweight, we need to do a support in the middle. So it's essentially, if you do a bracket and a bracket as far as you can go, if you split the difference in the middle of the tent, that is 1 meter max span in the center. For the edge of the tent, if you mount it and you've got all your 1 meters, we can't have more than 500 mil unsupported at the end of the tent, so no more than 500 mil from past the tent. So I feel like that made no sense. Okay, welcome to Arts and Crafts with Lockie. So Jono, our designer, has gone home for the day, so I decided I would draw this on paper to explain it, because even me explaining it didn't make sense when I watched it back. But we're going to run it anyway. So let's imagine this square, this rectangle is your tent. Now, this is your crossbar here, so crossbar 1, crossbar 2. The maximum we can put our tent mount, so tent mount, tent mount, tent mount, tent mount, from this distance is 1600 millimeters. That is the maximum span. But when we go to 1600 millimeters, our gap is obviously 1600, which puts us over our 1 meter max span. Now, this max span isn't the max span of mounting, it is just the max span unsupported. So in order to make this tent compliant, we would need to put another roof bar in the middle. If you have a platform, you can completely disregard this because it's on a platform. So this is only for if you've got crossbars. If you have a platform, just honestly skip this part, you'll be less confused. Now, the total max overhang of the tent, so say we're clamped here, is 500 mil. So this pretty much just applies for if you're putting this on a canopy with 2 bars. Generally, the front of the tent is going past the cab of the car, and then you would probably just put a crossbar on the cab. Now, we're not going to mount to that crossbar because we all know that we can't mount to a canopy and a cab. They move independently of each other, they flex. It would just be resting on it, which is fine because we would still have the tent mounted within our minimum and maximum range. If that needs further clarification, reach out and just send a photo of your setup and we'll give you the yay or nay, whether it will work. But essentially, very simple, guys. We're just wanting to put an extra bar in the center. Essentially, we can't span it as far as normal, so we just asking we do an extra set of support. If you can't achieve, say this is a headboard here and a ladder rack here. So this is your headboard, this is your ladder rack. If you've got a ute and you don't want to put another ladder rack in the middle of the tub because that would look super weird, what I would do is I would use some 60 by 40 tube sort of thing. So some 60 by 40 or 60 by 40 by 80 tube. I would run it lengthways underneath the tent, and I would sit this on your headboard and ladder rack and then sit the tent on top. The tent is fine to sit on some tubular section that goes lengthways. All we're trying to do is support the tent underneath. We're actually working on a telescopic stainless steel section that telescopes in and out, and you'd be able to set your tent on that, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. But that's pretty limited people who'd be doing that sort of situation, but worth putting it out there. So we're all over how to mount your tent. Right, now we are all across how to mount the tent. Let's talk about how to mount the awning. So this is a very slim tent like we've previously discussed, so we will need to mount the tent independently. If you want my 2 cents on how to mount an awning in a tent, independently to the tent is always a good idea. Imagine you're on the beach, a big gust of wind grabs your awning, you're in your car, you're doing some tough tracks, your awning goes up against a bank. Where would you like it connected to? Your $4,000 tent or your $70 bracket that we can post you in no time? So mounting independently, always a great idea. The tent underneath has 2 mounting rails, which you just saw, they sit up 20 millimeters. This bracket here has an 18 millimeter rise. That means when we mount this down to our platform or our rack, our tent is going to sit over the top and it's not going to interfere with this bracket. So we've got a full YouTube video, link it below, how to mount the awning independently to the tent. I'm not going to go too far into it, but essentially bolt the bracket down, the tent sits over the top, and then these guys work completely independent of each other. And if anything ever happens to the awning, it's attached to the bracket, not to the expensive tent. So we do have tents that you can bolt the awning to. That's the plus tents, that's the Z tents. If you need to mount your awning to your tent, this might not be the one for you. This is fit for purpose, slimline, and this is how we need to mount our awning with this tent. All right, we've done all the admin as such. How do we put it all together? Now for the good part. Let's open it up, see what we actually get in this tent. So if you made it this far in the video, congratulations, I'm glad you're watching it. Now you know a lot more about the carbon tent, and now we're going to see what we actually get. So 4 latches on this one. These are these latches I was showing you before, how in the one of the versions they didn't stay there. Oh, sorry, they kept falling down and grabbing it. So these actually stay where they're meant to go now. So it's a lot easier. They don't try and grab on the way up. We've got a way plusher seal as well, so that always helps. We've got the rainfly rolled up, so that's a great demonstration that you can roll the rainfly up. We're a little bit limited for room in our showroom these days. That's why that is up. But I'll put that back down and we'll fully set it up to give you the full experience. This one here, the Outback Tourer pull down cord, normally just throw that over the top. Then we've got our shoe bags inside. They go on the back of the tent. That's pretty simple. They go like that. So when you're getting up in the tent, you want to put your shoes somewhere, that's the place to put it. And they've got your screen in the bottom, your midge-proof mesh, so if you do have wet shoes, they'll drip out of there. We've got our installation guide. You don't need that because you've just watched the video on how to do it, but good reference point. We've got our light cables, we'll show you that in a second. Inside, we've got our rainfly poles, which we will set up. Okay, so your rainfly poles, you've got 4 of these, they're all the same length, doesn't matter where you put them. I personally think it's easier to put them in the base first and then flex them up to the top, but you can put them in the top first and flex it down to the base if you wish. So 4 of those, they go in, and that gives you your nice large rainfly. That means you can have all the windows open and when it's raining and you're not going to get wet inside, so I think it's a really good idea to have a rainfly that goes all the way around the tent. Some people, they shortcut it, they don't put this one on like other models, not Outback Tourer, but they sort of do this, and I feel like it really defeats the purpose of having a rainfly. It does absolutely nothing for the sides. It does need to come all the way out, and then you can actually have shelter when it rains. All right, the mattress in this one, we've showed you before, it's packed separately. This is the same self-inflating mattress that we sell separately for the other tents, but for the carbon tent, we had a couple of different options. We could have included a 30 mil foam mattress, but I actually like my customers and wanted them to sleep comfortably in their tent. So instead, we included a self-inflating mattress. Now, open this up. This is brand new, this one. I'm just going to touch on this one just briefly. I'm not going to go fully into it. We do have another video that a full run through of the self-inflating mattress, but long story short, that goes in there. You open it up. This also stays in the tent. You don't have to take it out. But like the label suggests, it is a self-inflating mattress. So you undo it, turn the valves to the side, and the mattress will begin to inflate itself. If it is a brand new mattress like this one is, it might take a little bit longer than usual to fully self-inflate because it's never been up before and it's been vacked shut. The pump, full comprehensive run through this one in the self-inflating mattress video, but essentially it's a pump that has a fitting on it which pushes in, and that gives you inflate and deflate, and this screws into the cap of the mattress. So the mattress has two settings, inflate and deflate, on the cap. Obviously we are putting it up, so we're going to put inflate on. To save time, I'm going to pump this up a little bit, and it'll... So if you don't want to use the pump, that's fine. It is self-inflating. I just like to do it so it's a little bit quicker on the first use. The second, third use, it's going to be super quick because it's been up before. If your pump for some reason is flat or it dies or something, you can do this little trick with the bag. You can fill it full of air like that, and then you can begin to wrap it. And this little bung here pushes into the mattress. You push that in, and then if you roll it, that'll force more air into the mattress as well. So that's filling the mattress. Just a little tip, if your pump dies and you need a little bit more air in it, you didn't charge it, just remember that one. What I like to do is, so I've overinflated that now, and I'll jump in the tent. That mattress is overinflated. It's 100 mil, very comfortable. And just for reference, this is what we all run in our tents. We don't run any foam ones in our personal tents anymore. We've all upgraded to the self-inflating, and it's next level. It's super comfortable. So having one in the carbon fiber tent, you are super spoiled already. No need for toppers or anything like that. With the bungs here, I'll just sort of push my finger in and set this to the desired height. So you overinflate it a little bit, and then you just let the pressure out to whatever sort of firmness you want. Obviously, if you've got two people, you'll put two people in here and get it to exactly where you want. But that's pretty comfy for me, and I'd be very happy to sleep with that. All right, moving inside the tent, and we have spared no expense. This tent has all the features everyone knows and loves with their Outback Tourer tent. Starting at the top, we've got all our pockets and iPad pocket. We've got our pockets down the side, so those ones are really good for drink bottles and everything like that. We've got our dual coloured light, so it goes from white to amber, and we can dim it all the way down and then all the way back up. And then we can put it on both colours as well. So it's good to have a light in there. For this instance, we are running it off a power bank, but there is a power box at the back which has USB-Cs, USBs, cigarette sockets, and that's already hardwired into the tent, which is super easy to get to down the side there. So that is all down there. We've got a little window up top, so if you know anything about hot air risers. So we've got our condensation window up top, so when you're sleeping, all your hot air rises and can make its way out of the tent. If you wanted to add fans in here, then you can clip them wherever you like. You can get heaps of cool fans these days that just clip everywhere and then help move air out. The reason we don't include fans is because to get a decent fan, it is over $100, and instead of me including just crappy cheap fans like some people do, well, you're better off just going out and buying a decent one and clipping it on there. So all the zips are YKK. The canvas is a 320 GSM poly cotton blend. The good stuff, the same stuff we've been using on our tents for many, many years. So we know it works, it's proven, and does well. Throw a bit of light up here and you can see we've got a black cushioned sort of material on the roof, which is really nice and plush. So instead of the usual navy stuff, we've just kept with the black theme, and it's really nice. One more thing on the canvas, it is actually a fully blackout canvas as well. So if you wake up in the morning, it's 8 o'clock, you've had a big night, you're going to be able to sleep in. It's going to be pitch black in here. So freaking awesome. We've been doing it on the tents for many, many years, like I said, and it's great. So being able to sleep in when you're camping, if you did a tent and it's a different color, you wake up and you know it's morning at 4:30. Not what you always want These side windows, sort of like what we've done on the rest of the tents now, they are an extended side window, mainly because you're going to get more circulation, more airflow when you've got bigger windows. But also a lot of the wagon owners do side entry, and having a bigger door just means it is easier to enter the tent from the sides. We've got the screens, so very, very important. There's still a few people who do it the other way around, but this is the correct way to do it. You have the screens on the outside of the tent, and the reason we want the screens on the outside is because this can be zipped up, and then if you imagine you had the canvas on the outside of the tent, it's going to flap around all night and annoy the absolute crap out of you. So having it on the inside of the tent, you can roll that up and tuck it away. It's never going to bother you. And then you can put this up, and then you can have this canvas section just sitting like that. You're not going to have anything on the outside flapping around. It also means if you want to close this up in the night, you're not going to invite all these insects into the tent, whereas if you have that on the outside, you need to get to it, you're going to get insects all through your tent. So a bit of a no-brainer. That's why all our tents have the screens on the outside of the tent. So underneath the mattress of this one, you'll note we've got a full carbon fibre base. So not like the first design I showed you where it had slats, we've fully enclosed the base, and this is a fully sealed base. So very important to have a fully sealed base. We're not going to get any dust or anything in there, and it is a lot nicer. So this mattress is the self-inflating one, which we all know. And for this instance, we don't have the condensation mat underneath. Now, the reason for that is because it's a very slimline tent, so we have a little bit less room inside than the rest of the tents, and we don't actually need it because mattresses are measured with an R value, and what that value is the thermal rating of the mattress. So an R value in a extremely cold condition, you need a 5.5 or over, and that means there is extreme thermal capabilities of the mattress. So you're not going to feel any of the cold coming through, and there's not going to be anywhere near as much heat transfer through the mattress. And this mattress, because it holds air, and a condensation mat's primary job is to give you an air gap, and this is an air mattress, the rating of our mattress is actually 12.5, so over double the rating of the value you would need for -5 temperatures. So that's extremely cold. And we've got double the insulation, so we don't actually need the condensation mat in this model, and that is why we've chosen not to use it. Last thing to mention in here, and probably one of the most important, is serviceability. We run a perimeter zip, so if you follow this light around, you might be able to see it. There's a perimeter zip the whole way around the roof, and now why that is there is because the tent needs to be serviceable and every part needs to be replaceable easily. So whichever corner of this country you were in, if you were to break a zip or somehow your mesh got damaged and insects were going to get in, something happened to it, it got wet and then didn't get taken care of, whatever happened, it's all good. Every single part of the tent can be replaced, including this entire canvas, and all that looks like is unzipping this canvas, rotating it around, and it all pulls out from a corner, and we can simply post you an entire new canvas and it can be put in. So it doesn't matter how many years you own this for, you'll know that you'll have support from us and you'll be able to purchase an easy part like a new canvas whenever you need. Okay, so to put the tent down, we do need to deflate the mattress. It's a 100mm mattress, like I said. The biggest mattress we could do, and you wanted to store a bit of bedding in there, is about 30mm. So this sucks down to 30mm, so it works great, and it means you can sleep on a 100mm mattress, which is technically thicker than all the other tents come with. So pretty good addition. To suck the mattress down, like I show in the self-inflating mattress video, you can either use the included pump, so this comes with the tent, or you can use, if you've got like a Milwaukee or Makita leaf blower, you can also use that. So for this demonstration though, we're going to be using the pump. On the pump, this is the outlet and this is the inlet, but if we double this up and put this fitting into the inlet, it becomes a vacuum. So push that in here, like that. Then we'll screw this into the tent. And when we do this, we want to make sure that both of our valves are on deflate, otherwise it's not going to work. So those are those 360 valves, put them on deflate. You could roll this up if you wanted to as well, but I'm assuming you're going to have your sheet on it, and the last thing you want to do is try and roll this up. That was another thing with the other carbon fiber tent I mentioned. They really didn't have a solution for this. You had to physically almost pull your mattress out of your tent and roll it up because it's on slats. And honestly, I think that's just not the best solution, and this is how it needs to be done. So put that in there, and we'll it's about 40 seconds. We'll speed it up, but that'll fully deflate this thing down to 30 mil. All right, that's fully deflated now. We want to do those caps all the way up. That way it's never going to inflate while you're driving around. What I like to do is just go in here and spread the mattress back out evenly. That way it is going to be easier to close. It will be easier if you're already in your tent, but I'll just sort of spread it back out evenly like that. Now, I think it's a pretty appropriate time to talk about what bedding you can keep in this tent. Now, bear in mind, you've bought the slimmest tent we offer, so that means you're going to get the least amount of bedding inside. If your aim is to fit all your pillows, all your blankets, everything like that, it's probably not the tent for you. This tent is only 110 mil high. So what we can fit comfortably is a sheet and a thin blanket. Everything else, so if you got like our big -5 sleeping bags, our -12s, it's not going to happen. A thin blanket, like a throw or something, will be fine. Your big doona from home, just forget about it. Don't even try it. It's not going to work, and you're going to end up with all sorts of problems. It's not going to seal properly. You're going to bow the center of the tent. It's not even worth trying, and it's just not worth being lazy. If you're going from one campsite to the next, just pull them out and don't think, oh, it'll be right. I'll just force it, because once you've forced it, you're not going to be able to force the bow out of the tent that you potentially have created. So if that's going to annoy you, maybe just opt for, we've got about 8 other options of tents where you can put all your bedding in it, all your pillows and everything like that. That might be better suited for you. But with lightweight, there obviously is a little bit of compromise. But if you're close to GVM and you want to save weight, you want to do tough tracks, and then taking the pillows out is a pretty small price to pay. And this tent looks so damn sleek. I think it is worth the compromise of taking your pillows out, throwing them down. Your missus is probably going to be asleep on them anyway while you're driving around, so, or your kids, whatever, take them out. But other than that, so this thing sucks down to 30 mil, which gives us enough space for what I just said. So we're going to pack this thing down now. One last thing on the mattress, I just wanted to show you how deflated I actually have this mattress. It is important we deflate it all the way down, and the way you can tell that is it is all sucked in from the corners, and it has pulled a rib in the middle. So when it's pulled that rib through the middle, all the air's contracted out of it, and it's only the foam that's left in it, because there is foam in this mattress, and it won't be touching any of the corners anymore. And that's how we know that it is deflated all the way down, which we need to do. Okay, packing the tent up, we've pulled all our rainfly poles out, put them in their storage bag, which we will keep inside the tent. We have removed all our pillows because we are responsible carbon fiber rooftop tent owners. This bungee cord, much like all the other tents, very, very similar. Pull that up, that helps keep that rainfly in. It is a lot easier if you keep all your windows down, or at least the mesh. That way when you pull the tent down, it's not causing an airlock and pushing all the canvas out. So put the windows down. Now this tent does pack up really easily due to having a wide extrusion on the base. So you can get pretty much all of it from the back. So putting my arm down the side, I've pretty much got all of it. Same on this side. And what we want to do is sight this tent. From here, we want to look the entire way down and just make sure we're not getting any canvas between the seal. Even if you shut it and you might not always see canvas sticking out from the side. It can be trapped behind there. So the easiest way is look the whole way down. And if you need to, you can sort of come up here and push it up and in, but it does pack up quite nicely. And believe it or not, some people do need to be reminded that if you do put canvas between the seal, it will wick in. So just make sure we always pack our tent up properly, and then it's always going to be completely watertight. As like all our tents, there is a pre-wired Anderson plug on the bottom. Now this is the connection point for the power box that is inside the tent. So this, like any other 12-volt fixture, we are connecting it to your dual battery. This is not where your solar panel plugs into. Your solar panel, that is completely separate feed, and that goes from your solar panel down through some sort of regulator and then into your battery. So that the solar panel purely charges your battery. Then from your battery, we run a separate feed as if you were plugging in any appliance like a fridge up to the bottom, and that powers the power inside. We would recommend putting a 10 amp fuse down at the power source. That is always good auto electrical practice to fuse at the power source. There is a fuse underneath the 12-volt box inside as well, just to be double sure. If you're not confident on anything electrical, I would definitely recommend consulting an auto electrician. At the end of the day, it's not crazy difficult, but if it isn't something you are confident in, then definitely just reach out to the pros and they'll get it sorted out. It's honestly a really simple job. It won't cost a whole heap if you just wanted to leave it up to someone who does this day in, day out. Otherwise, if you are confident in doing it, yeah, feel free. It is pretty simple. Last thing to essentially mention is the tent comes with a wide step ladder. So that means we've got an extrusion cut that sits over the steps on the ladder, so it's not going to hurt your feet. So that is a lot more comfortable than a standard ladder, and that also comes in a ladder bag. Once the tent is all down and packed up, it is important to note we are not forcing any of these latches shut. So like I said, it's literally a very thin blanket, or if not just a sheet, and then absolutely no pillows. Then our latches go up like that. It is very important we keep 4 latches on the tent. We don't want to be removing the side latches. It is a really thin profile, so this tent does need 4 latches. If you put in the awning beside it, just step the awning off an extra 20 mil compared to where it would normally be because of the strut anyway. So 4 latches, make sure we're not forcing anything. If you've got a gap like this and you're trying to force it shut, you will have issues. You need to make sure it is all, properly deflated and clamped down, and we will be ready to rock and good to go. All right, that is a wrap, everyone. That is the Outback Tour carbon fiber tent. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I know it was a longer one. There was a lot to cover. We had the journey of the tent. We had what's included, how to fit it. We had the self-inflating mattress, the solar panel, a few extra steps compared to the normal tent. But if you're after a low profile, lightweight tent, you do hard wheeling, or you're just really close to that GVM, like I was saying, then this might be the tent for you. If you can deal with having to take a little bit of bedding out because it's a low profile and you really just want to save that weight, then it is a no-brainer. It is an awesome tent. A lot of years developing this one, and I think it's turned out really well. So as always, if you have any questions, reach out. You'll get a response 7 days a week. If you need confirmation on how to fit to your exact setup, you'll get a reply from usually either Zoe, me, or Christian. So 2 of the owners and our awesome sales executive, Zoe, will be able to point you in the right direction and make sure it's all going to work for you. And again, thank you for watching. Appreciate it.